Chris, welcome back to the podcast.
Good to be back, Rod.
We missed I don't know if we missed a week. I missed a week the other week just due to my life being so busy at the moment. We were just chatting off air about a few things as well as always. I flicked you a few questions last night that I thought we could try and be a little bit more structured without having too much structure to it. I don't like structure to my life too much with this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But just some of the things that I keep seeing online at the moment, and I just wanted to get your opinion on them.
Go for it, yeah.
So we'll jump straight in. First one we've got here is this thing I see popping up all the time about exercise snacks and these little 5-minute exercise breakouts during the day, which people speak about. And I saw it some years ago, and I think the first person I saw write something about this was Mark Sisson. I'm sure you know who Mark is.
Yeah,
And
Primal.
He wrote about these little, just Primal Health, I think his company is.
Helmafia. Yeah.
Yeah. He was writing about these exercise snacks, and I've just more recently seen them popping up more and more about, people recommending the benefits of just doing these 5-minute exercise routines. I've got my own opinion on that, but I thought we'd actually start with that topic. And what are your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, when I first read it, I saw exercise snacks. Like, oh God, people are snacking during exercise, and people just go 20 minutes without snacking. But then I read on, and yeah, I see what you mean by little snaps of exercise. Well, again, if anyone's listened to our previous podcasts, and I know you talk about it a lot as well in your Substack about just consistency. And if you look at the 4, protocols of exercise, type of exercise, duration, intensity, frequency, I believe, from my experience, frequency trumps the other 3. Maybe on par with type of exercise, because if you enjoy something, you're going to do it more often. But frequency is, I think, more effective for most people than intensity and duration. So if anyone can get a little bit of exercise in, and they can do that every day, then yeah, go for it. Now, will it result in getting really great results? Or if you're training for something specific? No. But if it gets you in becoming more consistent with exercise, I say to my clients, if you've got a busy day, you've always got a minute somewhere to see how many squats or push-ups you can do in a minute. And then you can say, I've exercised today. And that can help people build an identity of someone who exercises every day. And just doing something is going to move the needle. Now, when it comes to specific training and sports and, things like that, no, you need probably more than just 5 minutes or 2 minutes of exercise. But I think for the general public, people who don't like exercise, people who are not like you and I, Rod, who'll go out and just get a real buzz from exercise, sometimes the mindset of just saying, okay, I just need to do 2 minutes in the morning or in the evening or something, will just start making them believe that they're someone who can stick to exercise. So that's how I see it. How much, what the results you get from it on their own, not a lot. And you have to do it frequently. You just can't do 5 minutes every other day or every 3 days. You've got to, if you're going to go low in duration, you've got to then do it more often. That's how I see it.
Yeah, I see and there is some research behind it. And basically they talk about somebody coming off a no base of exercise, and I 100% agree with what they're saying. If somebody's, got a fairly solid base of exercise, doing 5 minutes a day is not going to move the needle at all. But if someone's starting from absolute scratch, and I think about someone like my sister who doesn't exercise, and I'm sure if she threw in, and I think they're more talking about these little, 3 to 5 minute bites of exercise throughout the day. If you can just stop throughout your day and actually, take 3 or 5 minutes and do, as you said, some squats or some push-ups or whatever it may be. And I 100% agree that if somebody's got no base of exercise and then they start doing this, but going back to your point, if they can do it consistently, I think that's where they'd see some change or some benefit. And maybe it's enough where them thinking that it's only 3 or 5 minutes of exercise they have to do, it's enough to form a bit more of a habit, right? And they get into more of a routine, and then they start thinking about, I haven't done my 3 minutes or 5 minutes of exercise today, and that builds on something for them. And they start to build on that. So That's probably
Well,
where the benefit comes in then. I'm not too sure you get a huge amount out of, 3 or 5 minutes of exercise though.
Well, was it 2021 or 2022? I think it was 2021. I set myself the goal of doing 100 push-ups every day for the whole year. And it took around 5 minutes some days to do 100 push-ups. Now, I know some people could knock it out in a minute, but I would always break it up to 25, then 25, 21, because I'm doing it every day for the year. And some days, you do a long run and then you come back and go, oh God, I've got to do 100 push-ups. But that, on average, say 5 minutes. Now, over the year, that was 36,500 push-ups. I can tell you now that made me stronger. But the key was it was every day. So I know that if I just did 100 push-ups every day, or you could set yourself a target saying, how many push-ups can I do in 5 minutes? And some days it might be 120 to 130 push-ups. Some days it might only be 50 because you're tired or whatever. But I can tell you from how I felt, I was certainly stronger for doing it. And that was just 100 push-ups there. I'm not saying that's the only thing I did throughout the year.
Yeah.
But just that small amount. And maybe because I had a good base of strength anyway, I could see the benefits. Saying that, if you've got a low level of strength, you're going to see really huge gains by just doing that. So it could be, doing 10 push-ups every hour throughout the day, and then you get to your 100 push-ups. So yeah, we can look at the science and we look at all the numbers, and we could say, okay, there are some benefits to it. But I think what you touched on is if it gets people into that mindset of exercise, it will lead to other things. It's the kind of the keystone habit to get you going. Well, I've started now, might as well do more. Now I've got going. I do that in the mornings when I go for my run. I walk for the first 2 minutes. And if I don't feel like running, I keep walking. But more times than not, I start running because I'm out and might as well start running.
Yeah.
So just doing something to get it started can be a big difference. I don't know if you've seen the science and that behind the, hormonal change. Just doing some exercise can suddenly change your hormonal pattern for the day. So, muscles are wonderful things. And if you get them active and woken up, they can, give you a lot of benefits for the rest of the day in the background. So
Yeah.
I think just moving the body, and you could actually make that 5 minutes really intense. You could, as I say, how many push-ups can you do in 5 minutes? Go for it. I guarantee anyone in the world, no matter how strong you are, you're going to be knackered into 5 minutes. If you're not, then you didn't do as many push-ups as you could in 5 minutes then.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
You look at the Tabata, 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off. No, it's 12 and 4, isn't it? Or something. Was it 12 and 8?
No, 10
12.
and 10 and 20. I think it's got
No,
different. I think Tabata's just become variations now, right? I think it's
I think it's 12 and 8. And you
Is it?
do that
Okay,
for
yeah.
5 minutes. You do that for 5 minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
Guarantee you'll be, blowing out of somewhere
Yeah.
you weren't expecting to blow out of. I know some people go to a workout class, do it for an hour, and walk out not even knackered.
Yes. Yeah, that's
So
an
I'll
interesting
go,
point.
well,
And I-
maybe people doing 5 minutes of hard work is going to be better for you.
And I see the benefit. I mean, and you touched on a good point that it's about that consistency and just thinking whilst you were speaking. Then, if somebody did choose to do something like, 100 push-ups every day and then every other day 100 squats. So the one day 100 push-ups, the following day 100 squats. If you do that for an entire year, you're 100% right. You would see change. And I think it's that once you got into that routine, that consistency, it would be highly unlikely that you wouldn't feel like doing more. Eventually, your body would actually start to adapt and you would actually say, oh, that 100 push-ups was quite easy today. And particularly if you're having the one day rest and doing squats the following day, you get that bit of recovery. You'd probably want to try and do more, the second, third, and then as the weeks go. But yeah, look, I even know with myself, my workouts are actually quite compressed at the moment because I train first thing in the morning at 5 a.m. or 5:30. And my days are so busy at the moment that some mornings I just don't have enough time to get my full workout in, and they are down to 25 minutes, which for me, if someone said to me, I only go to the gym for 25 minutes 20 years ago, I would have said, why? They used to be 2-hour gym sessions.
Yeah.
And now I look back and what was I doing in the gym for 2 hours?
Correct, yeah. Well, it's the old quality versus quantity, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I
it's
used to
it's
run a
interesting to some of this stuff coming out.
Yeah, I used to work for a company called FitPro, Fitness Professionals here in the UK, and we used to do these workshops. We'd go around the gyms around the country, the big chains and the small chains, teaching their staff how to communicate better with people,
Hmm.
because communication in the fitness industry is not the best. And one of the things we used to use is how to better engage with people during a workout. Get them working out because they're in the gym. So use a workout as a way of engaging with them. And one of the things was getting them to do interval training on a bike, say, really short, sharp, 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off, or 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, whatever, and do that for about 10 minutes. And we got the gym staff and the PTs doing just a 10-minute workout, and they were blowing out their backsides by the end. And I would always say to them, how do you fill a 60-minute class when we can get you knackered
Yeah.
in 10 minutes or 15 minutes? What are you doing the other 45 minutes? It's just filling, really. So yeah, be smart, quality over quantity, and actually whatever time it takes is what it takes. And I think we've got to get out of this mindset of it has to be X amount of time. Like I have as a PT, it's an hour session, but truly I could knacker my client in 12 minutes. And I'm like, oh, what? They paid me
Chris,
for an hour. Got to fill out 48 minutes now.
I sprinted my entire life, and my big training sessions would be like a massive training session would be 6 300s, and my 300s were 42 seconds each. And I'd do 6 of them, and I would be toast for 3 days.
Yeah.
Because if you're running those 300s as a proper track athlete, as any track athlete around the world would know, you are on the ground at the end of that session.
Yeah. It's a bit
So
like
we used
doing
to
a
always laugh.
Wingate test, the power test.
Yes.
You're on a bike and you go as
Yeah.
hard as you can for 20 or 30 seconds, or is it a minute or whatever it was. I did that for my university degree, and it was about a minute, and I peaked really high with my power. But for hours afterwards, I was gone. I was just feeling nauseous and just wiped out. And it was like, it's only 60 seconds. But yeah, I just think if you put the quality in, you put the hard work in, yeah, any time is going to be good. If you train for something specific, which is time-based, then you train for that time. But I think outside of that, just do something hard. Just do something hard every day. And
one of my favorite things to do at the moment, and I'm trying to do more of it, it's the building that I live in. We have quite a reasonable gym in the building, so if I don't get to my commercial gym when I'm just busy and doing my shorter workouts, I just go downstairs. If I'm doing a good leg workout, I prefer the commercial gym. And I just asked the guys yesterday, would they get an assault bike or an air bike? Because for quick, hard workouts, I absolutely love it. I do, 10 or 15 second intervals with 45 seconds off. And I do 9 of those, 15 or 20 second intervals with 45 second rest. And I normally nearly fall off the bike. I'm so toasted. People don't realize if you can actually stimulate your system or use such high energy for some of these things, they are very hard and the benefit's huge.
Yeah. I think what it ultimately comes down to is, what's your goal? What is it you want to achieve? And that will dictate the type of exercise, the duration, intensity, and frequency. So,
mobility, it's just something I'm trying to focus even more on myself at the moment. And I'm trying to build a bit of a 15 or 20 minute or 15 minutes at least mobility session into my daily routine. I'm very stiff in my thoracic spine. I get a lot of back stiffness all the time because I sit so much throughout the day. But what are your thoughts on mobility? How much and when?
Well, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but the more consistent you are, I found with the endurance running that I've been doing for the last 6 or 7 years, and especially as I've got older, the more consistent I'm with my mobility work, the easier the runs are. When I first got into doing ultra marathons and so forth, you kind of think you can rely on the body to recover on its own and stuff like that. And then as you get older and wiser, you realize actually you need to do a bit more prep work and a bit more recovery stuff. And so mobility has become even more, as a daily thing for me. Even if not planning to do a long run or anything like that, I just know if I put the groundwork in, lay the foundations, then it pays off when I'm doing my long runs. And um, it's a mixture of mobility, foam rolling, and stretching. So it's kind of, I combine the three. And I'm doing it every day, but I've tied it in with other things that I'm doing. So it's not a separate thing. It becomes part of just my day. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to plan it, commit a certain time in the day to do it. I just do it throughout the day at certain times while I'm doing other things. And I just found by not doing a lot every day, but just doing it every day, has made a huge difference. Less aches and pains, my energy levels can go for longer when I'm running, because a stiff body is just going to use more energy. It's not as efficient.
Give me an example, Chris, of what you're working on. What type of mobility?
It's mainly ankles, knees, and hips. I do some work for the shoulders and the thoracic spine, but upper spine, but not a lot. Usually when I'm running with a heavy pack, I've got to do more mobility work for my neck, because that will stiffen up. But it's predominantly ankles, knees, and hips. So a good example would be whenever I brush my teeth, I'm stretching or I'm mobilizing something. And I find with electric toothbrush, they buzz every 30 seconds. So every 30 seconds, I move on to something else and some of that. And as I say to my clients, when you're brushing your teeth in the morning, what else are you doing? Are you just standing there looking in the mirror? And they go, yeah. I go, well, why don't you just put one foot behind you and stretch your calf while brushing your teeth while looking in the mirror? Or put your leg up on the sink to do a hamstring stretch or whatever it is. So my mornings are always, I never not stretch in the mornings, because I'm always brushing my teeth in the mornings. And then later in the day, if I'm doing a training session, a good example would be today. I did a strength training session, but for the first 10, 15 minutes, I was mobilizing and stretching and foam rolling. And I've found where my aches and pains are in my body kind of dictates what mobility and stretching I do. So I'm not someone who just stretches everything to stretch everything. I know where my tightnesses are, I know where my weaknesses are, and therefore I just work on those. And so far, that's worked for me. So it's nothing fancy. It's nothing really hard. It's just, and the less complex I make it and the less hard I make it, the more often I do it. If I make it really complex and hard to do and it takes effort, then I probably will do it less. So I've found a routine that has very little friction in doing it, and I just get on with it. And I usually have a podcast on or something to listen while I'm just rolling out and stretching and mobilizing.
That's the key. I've got a bit of a morning routine, which I will do sometimes, and also in the evenings. Now I find my bit of a wind down routine in the evenings. I will often, just before I'm going to go and jump in bed, and sometimes I'll read in bed, but I'll be watching something nebulous on television, some series that I've found, and I've kind of usually just got it on in the background. I might be actually doing something else, and I'll sit on the floor now, and I'll just grab a foam roller or grab a lacrosse ball, and the same as you, I'll just work on something that's a bit stiff, and it'll just be something a little bit different every day. And I just find that a really good time of the day for me. And I'm just, end of the day, before I'm going to go to bed, it tends to bring your nervous system down a little bit as well when you're just laying on the floor and, nearly like ground yourself and just on the foam roller. So I find that for me personally quite good. Interesting, I did read some stuff the other day talking about people spending more time on the floor actually moving around. For a lot of people, as we get older, they spend less time on the floor because they're too worried about getting down the floor because they can't get up. So,
correct.
Spending a lot of time
teach
down
my older
there
clients,
assists people getting up.
I teach my older clients how to fall over. Not to, I just don't go up and push them and hit the ground.
Sure.
But if you can learn to kind of control fall, then when you do fall unexpectedly, you've got some sort of muscle memory there to help you as you fall. And you might find that you roll onto a shoulder or something instead of just, you see so many people just hit their face. They just haven't
Yeah.
turned at all or anything like that. And I think there's probably a gap in the market there to teach older people how to fall, tumble and, roll and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Because as you're right, nowadays they hold on to something called, they use an external thing to stabilize themselves instead of themselves. And the old adage, you don't use it, you lose it. When I train my clients on their balance, I always say to them, the whole point of doing this training is for you to lose balance. Because they always go, they get frustrated because they can't stay balanced on like a wobble board or something like that, or a single leg, or they get frustrated because they lose balance. I go, that's what we want in this training, this environment. I want you to lose balance. And if you're not losing balance, I'm going to do things to make you lose balance, because that's how you improve your balance. You don't improve your balance if you're balanced. You only lose it when you you lose balance. So when I go running on my trails around here, around home, uneven grounds, tree roots and things like that, my ankles are rolling all over the place. Now, I don't want to tempt fate with a big event coming up, but touch wood, never rolled my ankle, never injured my ankle. I'm 56 and I've run a lot. And I think it's because if I keep challenging the body in that way, it just gets used to that rolling and, unevenness and stuff like that. It's when people start coming away from that and becoming less mobile, less agile, and then they find themselves in an environment where that's required, the body just can't cope. So I think
100%.
there's certainly some value in getting older people to learn how to fall, get them. Not hard, just, okay. Because I've got a gentleman who's 78, and every time he takes a step and he loses a bit of balance, he kind of goes, oh, he gets frightened, he gets, anxious. And I'm trying to get him to step over hurdles and up and down on boxes. So he starts saying, oh, okay, no, I'm not going to fall. It's not bad. I'm not going to injure myself. And then confidence comes up and stuff like that. So going back to the mobility question, sometimes that is mobility for people.
Yeah.
And stepping down from a box requires mobility. Anything that will challenge people in a safe way, I think is good. Get them out of the comfort zone. And the more mobile you are, I think the more confident you are and how your body responds to something. It's not, not
I think
stiff.
for me, the two big things there is the mobility and the strength. If you've got both those two things, I think, from a longevity point of view, you're probably going to go pretty well.
Yeah.
Have you seen all these articles going around about your grip strength? And I'm sure there's another component to this about, your longevity and grip strength, that it's a predictor of how, I don't know. I've got some thoughts on it. I just think to myself all the time, and I started running this through my head the other day, thinking you might better open a jar, but if you've been sitting in a chair for the last, 10 years and not actually walking around, you might still be strong at opening a jar, but you may not be able to do much else. And I know that's not the point of the article. They're basically trying to say that if you've still got some grip strength, that means you've probably still got some overall strength, so you still got some longevity going. It's about that muscle performance still. But yeah, it's an interesting thing and it just seems to be blown up by and maybe just me looking for it at the moment, or as the algorithms follow me around, but everywhere I go, this grip strength thing pops up somewhere.
Yeah. If anyone out there listens to Peter Attia podcast, The Drive, he's done quite a bit on grip strength, and he always looks into the science and the latest research and stuff like that. And in his practice, he gets everyone doing the hanging test. So just from a chin-up bar, just hang. And he states that if you can hold for 2 minutes, then his research has shown that your chances of falling in the next year is greatly reduced. And because if an elderly person falls and breaks their hip, it's a 50-50 chance of being alive in a year's time. And so grip has been seen as a great indicator of someone's ability to stay upright. So I think there is something in that, and I think I wouldn't necessarily say do things that are specifically for a grip strength. I think if you do strength training, your grip strength is going to increase anyway. because you're holding on to heavy weights or whatever,
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
farmers walks and lunges or whatever, your grip strength is going to increase. But if you want better grip strength, do something that specifically it makes challenges your grip. So I do think there is a lot of uh, evidence out there showing that is beneficial, but I think there's a lot of other things you can do that are just as or more beneficial than focus on one area. Going back to the mobility thing, if someone feels confident that if they fall, they can grab something and, you know, um, prevent them falling, then that can be a positive. And I just think any time you feel yourself getting stronger in any part of your body, your confidence is going to go up. Your self-belief in your own ability goes up. Um, and I think that's just, a good thing overall. So yeah, grip strength. I don't see anything wrong with improving your grip strength. I don't see any negatives from it. I know in the question you put to me in the emails, you would have thought the sit and stand test is a much better predictor for longevity. I think both. Why not? I don't think they should be competing against each other. If you can get
No, I think I agree with that as well. But just from a logical point of view, if
Mm,
you can sit and stand, I mean, let's just talk about, and I'm being a little bit silly at the moment. Let's say we got two people and one person just hung from a bar every day for 2 minutes, did nothing else, no other strength work,
yeah,
nothing else. But
yeah,
another person did 2 minutes of actually sit to stand work. I
mm,
know personally, just my own personal thoughts, and I don't have any science around this, what I would prefer to do, because I would have thought that a sit to stand and having leg strength would stop me falling much, much quicker than being able to hang for 2 minutes off a bar.
yeah. That makes sense.
You know what I
Well,
mean?
funny enough, I had a 70-year-old client, Susan, today, who has got a bit of a stiff lower back, because she's been picking up her grandson. And for some reason, he's getting heavier every day. I think he's 2-year-old, and she had to lift him up into a swing at the playground the other day, and her back was fine. It was just a little bit, tight, and it felt like it had done something. So I was just getting her to do a deep squat to stretch out the lower back, and I usually use a TRX frame and a TRX hanging off, and people just kind of squat down, holding onto that
Hmm.
to relax into the stretch. But because she doesn't have that at home, not everyone has a TRX stand and TRX is hanging off them. So she has a banister at home. So I used the
Hmm.
pole on my cable machine, and she held on and then squatted down to a really deep squat without the
Hmm.
fear of falling backwards. But it required a bit of grip strength.
Sure.
Now, I just mentioned that because I just experienced it today, from getting up from a standing position, from a seated to standing position, and grip strength. So I think
Yeah. Yeah.
you're probably right. If she only did, and I get her doing squats, so she can get off the ground without holding on to anything. But I think she felt a lot more confident in being able to squat deeper, because she had enough grip strength to pull herself back up again. So
Sure.
best of both worlds in that sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just quickly before we go on to the next question, can you actually hang from a bar for 2 minutes?
No. But if you gave me
It's a pretty
6
tough test.
months, yeah, if you gave me 6 months, I did it every day, yeah. But I'm
Yeah, I'm
I'm
the same. I can
I'm getting
probably
on to other
go
things.
a minute and a
I can other
half, but
things. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's actually surprisingly to your forearms will definitely fatigue a lot, that 2-minute hang
Yeah.
test. I
If
have
if
done it a few times, but
if it helped me run 100 miles in 24 hours, yeah, I'll do it. But I don't see
yeah, exactly.
it's not one of my goals. But a
No,
really good test I saw about a year ago was a couple on Instagram, and they were doing this challenge where you put your sock and shoe on and tie up the shoelace
yeah,
while standing on one
yeah,
foot,
yeah.
and then do the other side without putting your foot down. I can do that,
Hmm.
and to me, that's
Yeah.
more important to what I'm trying to achieve than hanging from a bar. But yeah,
That I believe would challenge most over 50-year-olds.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'd give
I've
that to my
seen a
test
lot
to
of
my
my
clients from time to
friends.
time. They stumble.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Uh,
hard. I mean,
yeah.
I always, and I saw this in a few friends when I was in the US, living in the mountains, and I skied a lot. Um, my friends trying to put their ski boots on that had just started
Mm,
to get a little bit older. Now, ski boots are hard to put on, as you know, and we're putting them on the back of the car. So we pull up in the car park, the back of the car lid's up, and I can typically, put my foot in my boot. I have to then eventually put my foot in the ground, obviously, but even when I've taken the boot off, I can stand on one boot leg, put the shoe on, so my socks don't go in the mud or the water. And I've noticed, my friends, and it was indicated to me, it's like, okay, you guys are starting to get that little bit older now, and your balance and your strength is starting to go. You can't actually put your shoe on anymore or balance and take your shoe off. You're actually falling all over the place. And it's these little subtleties that you start to see the change in people as we get a bit older.
Well, anyone who has a dog and walks them in the winter knows that trying to put your wellies on, or in your case, gumboots, while trying to not put your foot in the mud when you've got a wet, muddy dog next to you, and trying to do that and put your shoe back on after taking it out of the welly and all that, you get to see how good you are at balancing. So
these are better tests, I think, than a hang from a bar for 2 minutes.
Correct. Yeah, I agree.
The next one I want to touch on,
go.
Was your concept around the performance span. It's I did a bit of a podcast. I think I spoke about my podcast last week on longevity and the health span at the moment, which is also data going around. And I think that I read that the US health span is 68, but the lifespan is 79 at the moment. And it goes back to that point where, people are still living in a further 8, 9, 10 years. And the US numbers were shorter than the global average in terms of their health span to lifespan. But I know you've got some thoughts around that on the which you're calling performance span, which I think is a really nice term, on being able to still do things at that part of your life. It's not about so-called having your health or just living longer, that you still want to have, performance in terms of just what we're talking about. You still want to be able to put your shoes on, go for a walk, chase the dog, or whatever it may be. So
correct.
Talk to that a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I have to give credit to Dr. Patrick Ronda, if anyone knows her podcast, Found My Fitness. And she coined the term, I think it was ability span or skill span. And I didn't want to use that because that would just be stealing from her. And I just thought, what is she actually meaning? She's talking about, well, how do we perform as we get older? And I just thought of performance span. It doesn't necessarily roll off the tongue, and word spelling on the computer doesn't like it. But I just started using performance span because with my clients, health span and lifespan, most people know, and lifespan is how long you live for. Health span is how long can you live without illness, serious illness, and so forth. But I think there's more to growing older than just how long you live and what your health's doing. As you say, these people, their health is getting to 69 and they're still living to 79. Peter Attia, going back to Peter Attia, he talks about the last 10 years of life. You start declining 10 years out from when you pass away, but you don't know it's happening until 10 years is gone.
Yeah.
And performance span is how do you perform, as you said, playing with your grandchildren, going out for a run, and just being able to do the things you want in life. And I think that's probably a stronger indicator of as we age, because living's more than just waiting. I plan to live to 100. I set that goal when I was a kid. For some reason, I just said, I'm going to live to 100. But I want to make sure that 99 of those years doing things I want to do, being independent, be myself and not being controlled by others is a huge thing for me. And I know that my fitness and strength needs to be good. Otherwise, I'm relying on others. And therefore, I lose my control. I lose my independence. I want to keep performing to the best of my ability right up to the day I'm not here, if possible. And I think I've said this to you before, Rod. I don't want to get to an age where a doctor says to me, if only you'd done this 10 years, done this, it would have been a different outcome. And me sitting there going, yeah, I knew that and I just didn't do it. Or I wasn't able to do it. So that's what I mean by performance span is it's not good enough just to live longer. It's not just good enough to be disease free. It's also about living life to the full. And that comes down to how you perform. I know so many people. I kind of go through, society, looking at people at a certain age and saying to myself, that's not what 70 should look like. That's not what 80 should look like. We're kind of being conditioned to say, well, when you get to this age, you've got to slow down. You've got to take things easy. You go, no, it's, that's just a quick decline. I want to be able to keep going and doing the best I can. I was at a ultra marathon, ultra one year, and I came out of this aid station, past this guy. He must have been in his 80s, and he was shuffling along. And I said to him, how are you going? He said, without looking at me, he just looked at the ground. And, yeah, I'm doing fine. I said, good luck. He goes, oh, good luck to you. And I just knew at that moment he was going to get to the finish line.
Yeah.
He just had that kind of, aura about him that I'm going to get to the end. I don't care how long it takes. I'm going to get to the end. The fact that he was already ahead of me after 35 miles kind of didn't wake me up a bit. But I see people like that and go, that's what 80's like. Not someone who's in a chair and can't get up and down, or has got poor grip strength, or can't get up from a seated position.
Yeah.
And so that's what I mean by performance span. How long can you keep going in life to perform?
It's a good term. I like it, and I think it's hugely important. You're 100% right about being able to still move and perform as we get older, as opposed to accepting that, this is what a particular age feels like. And for me, the inspiration, one, I've always, participated in some sort of exercise, but I had a track coach who still ran up until he was 72. He was still sprinting. And one of the other guys at my track, he was 76 and still doing triple jump.
Good.
Now, I went and trained with him one night, and I tried to do triple jump, and I was quite a good triple jumper when I was a kid, but I hadn't done it for a long time. And I went over to the pit, and his name is Jack Sturzacker, and I jumped. I said, Jack, can you set me up? And I was going to get him to help me a little bit. My very first jump, my lower back collapsed underneath me. My hips were just killing me. Just that absolute impact, which I hadn't sort of done for a long time. But I was very, very fortunate because I ran Masters track. I was surrounded by very good older athletes, and it is inspirational.
Just last thing on that, Rod, is there's a equation out there that works out what's the percentage chance of you dying in the next 12 months. And at our age, it's around 1.5 to 2% chance. But as you get older, it increases. And it's not until you get to 92 that it's 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
But most people die around 80.
Yeah.
So that, to me, that says so much, right? Is that we're losing 12 years basically at more than a 50% chance of surviving. And that's just crazy. So 92 is kind of a benchmark for me. And after that, I got more chance of dying than staying alive every year. And I'm okay with that. But I don't want to get to 80 and go, my chance of dying was staying alive was above 50% and I'm dying. And going back to performance span.
I need 92, Chris.
Yeah. If you're saying in America 79 is the lifespan, 69 is the health span, could we then say maybe most people's performance span is 59? And after 59, the performance starts declining? So you really got 20 years of just, low performance. And that's
unfortunately, looking at majority of people, I would say that's probably the case, unfortunately.
Yeah. That's a quarter of your life.
And then it just becomes this acceptance thing where so many people start to talk themselves into it. It's like, I've got this particular age. I remember when I was younger, and my parents used to always say, but once you get to my age, you won't be doing these particular things. And that was probably 10 years younger than I am now.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. People have said to me for years, you keep running those long distances, Chris, your knees are going to blow out. And I'm looking at them and go, well, you didn't run all those miles and your knees are blown out. And my knees are fine. Yeah. So maybe there's something in that. Yeah.
Segue on that sort of point there about running your distances. We'll talk about you've got a major event coming up in a couple of weeks, which we'll jump on a podcast and we'll talk about that in more detail. But just quickly give us a bit of how's your training going and what does your training week currently look like? And just tell people quickly what the event is coming up.
So in 2 weeks from this Saturday, so what's that? Maybe 16, 17 days. I'm attempting to run 100 miles in under 24 hours. And it's piggybacking an event called Backyard Ultra where you start off every hour on the hour running 4.1 4.17 miles, which will add up to 100 miles in every 24 hours. And the event keeps going until there's only one person left. Basically, last man standing or last person standing. These guys and girls can go for nearly 5 days. I'm just doing the first day. And that's my challenge. I've run 100 miles before, but not under 24 hours. That's kind of my goal. And I've set the goal because it's a 50-50 chance of achieving it. And I like that because for me, doing these events, it's all about the training leading up to it more than the event itself. Because on the day, things can happen that are out of your control, but they can't take away all the training and the stuff I did for the 5 months leading up to it and what I've learned and achieved from there. So I'll look forward to the event, but it's not the be and end all of this whole kind of experience. And my training is basically, I'm in the camp that believes that it's all about time on your feet. Just put time in your feet. Just go for long times, long duration. So my training has just been that. It's been building up to the point where 2 Saturdays ago, I kept going for 16 hours, which is 2/3 of my goal, just around my local farm. Repeated a 4.1 mile loop 16 times, from 6 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock at night. And that was possible because 2 weeks before that, I did a 10-hour run up and down hills. 2 weeks before that, I did a 12-hour run. 2 weeks before that, I did a 10-hour run. And then 8 hours and down and down and down. And it's just been built up over the last 20 weeks of just putting more and more time into my legs. After every long run over 8 hours, I usually have a 2-week break before I do another long run. But if it's under 8 hours, I can usually do weeks back to back. So I can do like a 6-hour, an 8-hour, 2-week break, 10-hour, go back down to 8 hours, build it back up to 12, and so on and so on. And that's kind of been the crux of my training, really. Not that sophisticated, not that, it's not a big, complicated plan. It's just time on your feet. And more importantly, time in your head, because doing something repetitively for 16 hours takes a lot of mental strength. And training that side of it is probably, I know physically I can do it, but it's a mental side when it gets tough and it sucks. That's
for sure.
I practiced that. I've practiced that. And
yeah.
And that practice will be invaluable in a couple of weeks' time, because I know what it feels like at 6 hours. I know what it feels like at 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, 16 hours. The longest I've run is 32 hours. And I know what my body feels like at those times. So when it starts hurting, I go, yeah, I'm expecting this. Where if you don't put the time in and things start hurting, you kind of go, should it feel that like this? Am I injuring myself, or is it just what it feels like to be running for 20 hours? And when you gain that experience, you kind of get the confidence, like, this is what 20 hours feels like. It sucks, it hurts, but this is normal. Therefore, just keep going. And I think a lot of people make the mistake of trying to do these events without putting the time in, and just trying to think they can get through on pure grit and mind some other ideas. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to it, because when I'm doing all my training, it's all on my own. No one's joining me for this. So when I do the event with another 200 people, it'll be nice because it'll be easier, because I'm being pulled along by others. I'm chatting, I'm just engaged with other people. So the time will go a lot easier than when you're on your own. Because if I can do it on my own, I can definitely do it with a group of people. It's a non-brainer,
sure.
really.
Yeah,
so. So yeah, that's basically my training in a nutshell. Yeah, looking forward to it. It's good.
We look forward to chatting to you more after the event. And give us a report on how you went, how you felt, and what happened on the day. So
it'll be good. Yeah, here in England, it's starting to heat up, which we're not used to. So it could be a whole factor that you just can't train for, because we just don't get hot enough days here. And suddenly you get a weekend, just 2 or 3 days where it's really hot. And you go, oh, I have not conditioned myself for this.
Yeah,
So it'll be
the heat
interesting. We'll
conditioning's a
see.
big thing.
Yeah.
Excellent.
We'll see.
We
See how it
will
goes.
wrap it up there,
Thanks.
Chris.
Yep. Thanks, Rod.
But good to chat as always, and we'll look forward to having you back on after you've recovered from your event. And that's the pod, and bye for now.
1,